course, it's going to be, if you pay attention, the difficulty level is going to be more or less the same. But if you do not, the difficulty is going to be, as you progress, it has to progress as well. Okay, nothing is too difficult, it's just that you have to pay attention in the time of teaching. And of the two subjects that I was taking, I could see I was emphasizing more on graphics, as I used to take even more hours for graphics because it had to deal with understanding more. So most of you did good in your BCM exam, but when it comes to graphics, it was very underwhelming. So please pay good attention in this semester. So when I was checking your paper, I was assuming that okay, majority of them did not understand much, so maybe this is it. But then there were students who did really, really well, meaning that when receiving the same lecture, the same examples, the same exercises, they were able to understand this. That means that they paid good attention to this. Perhaps they may be venturing more and study the text that I have, the textbook screenshot that I have sent, such and such. So please make sure that you are giving good importance to this. As we are having a 4 credit, so its weightage is next to AD and BCM. So make sure that attention is paid on this subject. So what you are to, especially what we are to study in this semester, has been taken from the 3rd semester in the previous curriculum. Okay, some of it still remains, but many of these things are studied in the 3rd semesters by your seniors. In the 3rd semesters, I believe that you will be venturing into uh, AutoCAD and all these graphics section, digital graphics side. So architectural graphics per se may not be, may no longer be there, but at least in this semester, you are going to learn what your seniors have learned in 3rd semester. So that means that your rate of progress is more compared to your seniors, which is the more the reason to pay attention to this semester better than last year. And we are going to have more time to study than the 1st semester, as your exam will be held in the month of June. So that means that we have the month of only the month of March, April, May, and some around 10 days or so for June, hopefully, and that would be it. So we would be able to cover this, and I want your utmost attention. However, today I will be showing you what we are going to learn. I have a bit of a cold, so it's a bit talking maybe a bit. My voice may not be coming out very clear to your side, so I beg your pardon for that, and I may be coughing a bit. So that is why I won't be taking a regular class today. So please look at the slide or look at the screen that I share. We'll go through that. Mm. All right, this is the one. Okay. So we have basically 4 units. Okay. So we have perspective projections, sciography, perspective view, and rendering techniques. All right. So basically we are entirely going into the 3D projections. And except for rendering techniques, we will be going 2D again. We will be making some drafts, some we will be sketchings. This will be mainly sketchings. So if you are good at sketchings, it will be quite fun for you. And it's going to be rendering techniques of building exteriors, interiors, and foliages, trees, human figures, etc. So this is something which I will give you examples that you can copy, and it will be much dependent on your side, right? This tree, however, uh, you'll be required to pay utmost attention to the class that we'll be doing. So what we'll first do is this will be the sole priority as they are on the technical side. As perspective view is freehand, and it can be done on a sketchbook also, but probably we won't go into the direction. If required, we can go in that, but we will make sure that these two section is dealt with thoroughly. All right. And as per your timetable, as you have seen, that we have 3 hours on a Monday afternoon and a 1 hour on a Monday forenoon. So 1 hour forenoon is quite less. It's a bit. Uh, we don't have enough time to explain much things. So we will use that class. We'll use that class mainly for unit 4. Okay, so as this is rendering, and you will be given examples, and you will simply require to emulate the examples, as simple as that. So we will use that class for you to work on your unit 4 and the rest of the Mondays. So the rest of the Mondays will be used for this. We will first start with perspective projections. Excuse me, followed by psigraphy. All right. So nowadays your curriculum is quite similar to vocational course second semester. So I will show you one that has been done by your seniors from the BVOC side. Excuse me. So this is the basic of a perspective projection. So we are going to have two types of, actually there are three types of perspective projection. So we have a 1 point perspective, 2 points perspective, and 3 points. And in that, we are going to go through 2 points and 1 points alone. And I will still tell you the basics of 3 points, but the idea of perspective projection, the idea of this is to instill on you how to make perspective projections. So we will be going through 1 and 2 points. So here we have a 1 point perspective. It's okay if you do not grasp it at this stage. We are going to go through it anyway. So here we have, yes, 2 points perspective. So here, as you can see, we have a solid here, and the perspective view is not like your isometric projection anymore. As you can see that there are variation in the length of your object. So this is going to emulate how we see things, but not entirely how we see things, but how things can be seen in real life differently. So if you were into smartphone photography or any sort of photography, and if you are using different lenses, zoom lens, wide angle lens, ultra wide angle lens, then the
Sorry,
different
your voice
ways of.
is not clear.
All right, is it the same for everyone, or is it only for? Sorry, is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
All right, yes, it was my microphone. Okay, so anyway, these are examples of what your seniors have done. So I'm only showing you that. Okay, so this is our 2 point perspective. As you can see, there are 2 points, two vanishing points here, and your lines vanishes over there in that sense. So this is how we tend to see things, like things vanishes along the horizon, right? If you are looking you are looking at it from a wide area of perception. All right. So this is what about rendering. different things look like. So this is basically a rendering of people. So the whole idea is not to come up with realistic drawing. It's just to come up with drawing of figures at scale. So what we try to do here is that, as we all know, that human figures are actually very helpful in architectural rendering to show the scale of a building. So suppose if there is a building over here, or let's say there is an object. Buildings are relatable. So let's say an object, and if there is an object is next to a figure of a man, then we will be able to know the size of it with respect to that, right? So that is the whole idea. So these are not realistic, but the shapes or the height, basically the height is going to be the determining factor. Now these are some plans of trees, foliages. I may be going a bit fast, sorry. Something like this. Yes. So this is like an so this is like an introduction to psiography. Psiography is the study of shadows. So we are going to learn how to properly create shadows on our building drawings. All right, on our drawings specifically. So here this is a random psiography, in the sense it's not up to detail, but it at least gives us an idea of how light is falling on an object. Suppose this is a plan of a tree, and if we have shadows on this lower right hand side, then we can assume that light is coming from this side, right? So this is what psiography is going to try to teach us, and it help us make our 2D drawings pop up a little bit. It's going to give us a better sense of space, and more importantly, better sense of light. So here we have an example of a pitch roof, and we can see that if light is coming from this direction, then we are going to have shadows lightly casted on these two sides, and the whole shadow casted on the ground on this side. So this is like an introduction to psiography, but this is still in the rendering unit. So here are elevations of certain trees, foliages. Here are some plants. Yes, some trees, basically. Even though it may not be following a realistic approach of showing a tree in terms of its appearances, especially looking from above. But then, as you have all known, that trees are all plants. Sorry, a plant is a building or anything that is cut at an eye level, right? So if you are cutting a tree at an eye level, somehow maybe these are the things which you would see. So not entirely realistic, but it gives you an idea. Road plants and shrubs. So these are the things which you can, which you can just see and copy it out. So these are all done on A3 paper. All right. So actually, to view this to 1 point perspective, you actually have to rotate it on the right side. So this is the floor plan of a very simple interior. As this BVOC is an interior designing course, so we were emphasizing more on the um, interior perspective. So this is a 1 point perspective of how to draw a 1 point perspective of a interior of a room. Okay. Yes. Coming back to just one thing from your exam. Now see this type of projections, this type of scanning. Now you are scanning your file in landscape mode because you are drafting in landscape mode, right? But then you can rotate before exporting or before sharing your file, you can rotate your pages in such a way that one can read in this kind of format naturally. All right. Many of you came in this direction like this. Like it came in this direction. So I have to rotate manually everything. It comes like this. So please don't do that. So whatever you scan in such a way that it is easily legible and I can read it as just by scrolling down. I don't have to rotate anything. Some of you were still doing that. Majority of you did correctly, but some of you were still doing that. So this is psicography. All right, sorry, I might have. Okay, this is still a perspective. Now this is psicography. So in psicography, we will be talking a few bits about how the sun rays is coming and going. Sun rays are going to be changing in every minute, every hour, right? And also it's going to depend on the orientation, as in the location of your object. But in psicography, we are going to have a certain assumptions. So we are going to we are going to assume the altitude of the sun, altitude angle, and the azimuth angle as 45 degrees. We will study about that later anyway. So still psicography of a simple pyramid. Yes, many of you were still confused, did not know what is the difference between pyramid and prism. The question was saying something about a hexagonal prism, and then you were making hexagonal pyramid. It was saying something about hexagonal pyramid, and you guys are making hexagonal prism. So in that case, if you did properly, also I could not give you full marks on whatever you did. These are all psicography. All right. So in perspective rendering, in perspective view, the third unit. So in interior designing, we let them do interiors. So for you all, it would be mainly, yes, if we can touch upon interior also fine. You can go on with your uh, exterior of a building as well. So in the unit 3. So here you can see that it's here light, play with light is not as dramatic as expected, but somehow you can see a few bits here and there. A shadowing formed by the TV screen. However, there are no shadows over here, but these are not shadows, these are reflections from the floor, and so on. So here are rendering with using color. Now they have started using colors. So floor plan rendering. So basically, we can say these are quasi psicography, or we can say that this is we are giving shadows, slide shadows over here all around, which may not be realistic, but it helps your floor plan pop up a little bit, right? So these are done using your typical color pencils. Same goes for this, and there will be a perspective view of these. Yes. So basically, as this was, as I have mentioned, interior design. So we emphasized on the different color schemes, and mainly on interiors. So you would see this, but as I had mentioned, we will be going on exterior as well. So this is an interior perspective view, 2-point perspective view of a room, which is done with psicography sketches. So in this perspective view, the psicography won't be as detailed as you would have done in the psicography exercise. So it is going to be now based on your knowledge of how light falls on objects. Another perspective with psicography in mind, but the psicography is going everywhere, like this angle and this angle, slightly a bit disturbing, but as you can see, there are artificial lights over here. This was a time problem which they did. Again, interior only, they were given a floor plan and a certain angle of vision. So they were asked to design that interior as well as make the perspective view of it, and with color palettes. So they were using certain coloring techniques, coloring in the sense, not coloring techniques, color theory. They were told color theory and they were doing about it. For this one, as you have already studied in basic design, it's no longer required on our graphics. However, there will be time wherein you can apply. Same building, different room. And the kitchen side. So more or less, we will have a final portfolio like this. But if time permits, we can have a unit-wise portfolio as well. Okay. So we have perspective projections. We have one, two, and three perspectives. Herein, we will be, excuse me, we'll be dealing mainly with one and two perspectives, xigraphy, perspective view, and rendering. Unit 4, we can start from tomorrow itself. All right. Any questions? Any question? All right. So let's meet tomorrow at 12. Hopefully by then we'll be able to, and please be ready with an A3 paper, be the normal A3 size, or for rendering, for the topics we'll cover tomorrow, it may be better if you use your sketchbook. Okay, sketchbook as in, do not use the sketchbook as it is, tear it off. I believe they are perforated, so you can easily, tear it off from those micro perforations and draft it properly. So the way that we draft is going to be the same as in the title panel and all. The subject name will change, architectural graphics 1, and you can use the title as rendering. So we will start with that from tomorrow, and on every Monday we will be doing the other topics, unit 1 and unit 2, basically. All right, let's have another roll call. Roll number 1,
Present, sir.
roll number 2,
Present, sir.
roll number 3, 4,
Present, sir.
5,
Present, sir.
6, แล้วหลวงปู่อะเอ้ยแล้วหลวงปู่อะ
Yes, sir.
7, 7, 8 แล้วฉันตัว 8,
Present, sir.
9, 10,
Present, sir.
11,
Present, sir.
12,
Present, sir.
13,
Present, sir.
14,
Present, sir.
15,
Present, sir.
16,
Present, sir.
17,
Present, sir.
18,
Present, sir.
19,
Present, sir.
20,
Present, sir.
21,
Present, sir.
22, 23, 23, Rosang Lady,
Present, sir.
24. Shreya. Shreya Kalambe. 25.
Present, sir.
26, 27. Srihita. 28.
Present, sir.
29.
Present, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you, class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.